Chapter 5 Surface Chemistry Syllabus Difference between adsorption and absorption. Definition of physisorption and chemisorption and their differences. Factors affecting adsorption of gases on solids. There are certain terms are used in this explanation of adsorption and absorption. The first term is adsorbent. You should know what is meant by adsorbent. The substance which invites the particles of some other substances to deposit on its surface is called adsorbent. See, diagrammatically it is shown what is the adsorbent. This is called the adsorbent. Now, adsorbate, the substance whose particles gets deposited on the surface of the adsorbent is called adsorbate. These small dark circles shown in this diagram are called adsorbate. Therefore, these two terms are frequently used in the definition and in the explanation. For example, ammonia gas gets adsorbed on the surface of charcoal. In this case, charcoal is the adsorbent. That means charcoal takes the position of this adsorbent, while ammonia is the adsorbate. Ammonia molecules will be like this sticking on the surface of the charcoal. Definition: the phenomenon of the accumulation of a substance on the surface of some other substance is termed as adsorption. Next is absorption. When an absorbent is brought in contact with an adsorbate, the adsorbate molecule may penetrate into the bulk, that means interior of the adsorbent. This phenomenon is called absorption. See, in absorption, inside the absorbent is completely filled with the adsorbate. That is the difference. In order to understand this adsorption and absorption, a simple experiment used to mention is that a piece of chalk, when it is immersed in, just take a beaker and take some ink and dip this chalk into this and suddenly take it out. Suddenly it is to be taken out. Therefore, only on the surface of this chalk the ink is absorbed. The middle is looking like white. Therefore, you can break it and see that the inside part is white in color and only on the surface there is blue color. This can be considered as adsorption because only on the surface it is the particles are sticking. Whereas you allow the ink completely immersed into this ink. That is, the chalk is allowed to completely immerse in the ink and after some time you take it. Then you see that the chalk is completely blue in color. And if you break it, you can see that inside all blue in color, there is no space without any white color. This is called an absorption. That is the difference between absorption and adsorption. Now, definition. The phenomenon in which the adsorbate penetrates into the bulk of the adsorbent, that is this case, and gets distributed throughout the lattice of the adsorbent is called absorption. Now, distinguish between adsorption and absorption. Or it can be asked as what are the characteristics of adsorption and what are the characteristics of absorption. Therefore, let us see what is adsorption. First point, it is a surface phenomenon. The adsorbate gets deposited only on the surface of the adsorbent. That is this case. Only on the surface this ink is adsorbed. Now, 2. The concentration of the adsorbate on the surface of the adsorbent is different from that of the bulk of the adsorbent. That means there is only a limited area gets adsorbed, not fully. 3. The rate of adsorption is high in the beginning and then decreases gradually as the equilibrium is reached. That is the third point. Let us see what is regarding absorption. It is a bulk phenomenon. The adsorbate penetrates into the interior of the adsorbent and gets uniformly distributed. This is uniformly distributed, or in this case, it is uniformly distributed. The concentration of the adsorbate of the same is adsorbate is the same throughout the bulk of the adsorbent. If you examine this part or you examine this part, it is uniformly distributed. Absorption proceeds with the uniform rate. That means when a chalk is immersed in this, all the parts, the ink is absorbed in a uniform way. Now, types of absorption. Depending upon the types of forces responsible for the attachment of the molecules or the adsorbate to the surface of the adsorbent, the adsorption of gases on solids can be classified into following two categories. 1. Physical adsorption or physisorption. 2. Chemical adsorption or chemisorption. Let us see what is meant by physical adsorption or physisorption. If the forces of operative in the adsorption process are weak van der Waals forces, fill in the blank question. In physical adsorption, weak van der Waals forces are active and the phenomenon is called physical adsorption or physisorption or van der Waals adsorption. Define what is meant by physical adsorption. Then chemical adsorption or chemisorption. When the gas molecules get attached to the surface of the adsorbent through strong valence bond forces, the adsorption is called chemical absorption or chemisorption. Match the following questions can be asked. Physical adsorption, weak van der Waals forces. Chemical absorption, strong valence bond forces. Therefore, match the following questions and even fill in the blank question. Differences between physisorption and chemisorption. There are about 9 points and this can be considered as the characteristic also. For physisorption, 9 characteristics and chemisorption, 9 characteristics. Or they can ask distinguish physisorption and chemisorption, give 3 points. 3 marks question or 2 marks question depending upon the number of points they can ask. Therefore, let us see the comparison of each point. First one, nature of the operative forces. In physisorption, weak van der Waals forces, whereas in chemisorption, strong valence bond forces. 2. Specificity. Physisorption is non-specific, while chemisorption is highly specific. Third point, occurrence. Physisorption at ordinary temperature, it occurs at ordinary temperature. Chemisorption at a relatively high temperature. Fourth point, reversibility. Physisorption is reversible, whereas chemisorption is irreversible. Fifth one, enthalpy of adsorption. Physisorption, enthalpy of adsorption is low. Chemisorption, enthalpy of adsorption is high. Sixth point, nature of adsorption layer. In physisorption, it is multi-layer, whereas in chemisorption, it is monolayer. 7. Effect of temperature. Physisorption decreases with increase in temperature. Fill in the blank question. Chemisorption first increases, then decreases with increase in temperature. Fill in the blank question. 8. Activation energy. Physisorption almost equal to 0, whereas chemisorption it is high. 9th point, process of adsorption. In physisorption is very rapid, whereas chemisorption may be rapid or slow. Then